Fazza's heart belongs to her a love deeper than years. Fazza's heart walks its own quiet road, where time bends and dust turns soft, and the sun glows like a witness to secrets held in the palms of destiny. He moves through the world as a man of strength, a son of deserts, a prince born from old winds. Yet beneath the calm of his eyes lives a truth that no kingdom could tame, a truth shaped like her. She enters his story without noise, like a shadow carved from gold dusk. Older, wiser, carrying years the way the moon carries its scars gently. She is not a whisper that fades. She is a presence that steadies, a name the world never learned. But his soul always knew, long before he ever spoke her into memory. Their first meeting was not lightning, not fire, not a tale of sudden storms. It was slow, soft, the kind of moment the heart registers before the mind understands. She looked at him and saw not royalty, not lineage, not legend, but a man with unguarded eyes, searching for something more than titles and duty. He spoke to her with simple words, but his soul spoke louder, recognizing a depth he could not name. She carried years upon her shoulders, yet those years were not weight. They were wisdom, echo, the steady hum of a life lived wide. She had known love lost, dreams changed, paths broken and rebuilt, and he found beauty in the way she stood, as if every storm had bowed, and she had risen anyway. People would have said she was too old, too seasoned, too far from the world he walked in, but love does not read calendars or bow to rules. Love chooses by truth, not by years, and his truth was her. The woman who saw him before the world did. The woman who understood silence as clearly as speech. The woman who held her own strength without needing a crown. He finds himself returning to her again and again, like a falcon returning to a familiar hand. Not because it must, but because it trusts. He sits with her in nights where stars hang low, and her laughter moves through him like warm wind over desert sand. He tells her stories he tells no one else, and she listens with eyes that hold galaxies, as if she had been waiting centuries to hear him speak this way. In her presence, he is not prince, not leader, not symbol. He is simply a man, a heart seeking another heart and finding shelter. She does not try to claim him, does not secure him with golden chains, does not demand promises. Her love is not possession. It is invitation. It is steady fire, gentle, enduring. It is the kind of love that does not fade, that grows in quiet confidence, unafraid of age, unafraid of time, unafraid of the world and its talk. He watches her move through her days, with grace carved from grainy truths, with tenderness layered over strength, with a softness not diminished, but deepened by years. He sees in her the kind of woman who can hold a kingdom, not through power, but through heart, through understanding, through the fierce gentleness that only those who have lived long can offer. And though the world would never understand, though whispers might rise, there are nights when Fazza stands alone on the wide balcony of his world, the city glowing beneath him, the desert stretching in silent devotion, and every light reminds him of her, the woman whose presence lingers, even when distance lies heavy between their two horizons. He closes his eyes, and her memory rises like warm dusk, softening the walls around his heart. He remembers the way she speaks, slow, thoughtful, as if choosing each word from a hidden garden. Her voice carries a calm that wraps around him, and he finds himself breathing deeper, because she is the kind of woman who turns storms into lessons and wounds into wisdom, while never losing the quiet tenderness that drew him close in the first place. He remembers how she smiles, not with youth as brightness, but with depth, with a softness carved from years that survived, transformed, endured. It is the smile of a woman who has loved before, lost before, lived before, and yet still opens her heart to the world again, fearless in her honesty, gentle in her truth. In moments when duty weighs heavy and the world asks too much of him, he thinks of her, the woman who never asks, only understands. She never grips his hand too tightly, never pulls him from his path, never demands he choose between her and the world, because she knows love is not a chain, but a refuge, a place to return to, not a place to hide in. And so he returns, again and again, drawn by a force that does not shout, but whispers. He finds her in the small corners of life, a scent in the wind, a line of poetry, a memory of her laughter, spilling like soft light across the walls of his heart. There were evenings they shared, quiet, simple, sitting close yet saying little. She would pour tea, her hands steady, graceful, and he would watch the way the light touched the lines on her skin. Each line a story, each story a year, each year a testament to a life lived full, and he found himself mesmerized, not by perfection, but by truth, by reality, by the undeniable depth that only time can shape. She would look at him with eyes that held both history and hope, and in those eyes, he saw a home he had never known, a place where he could exist, without masks, without titles, without the weight that royalty often brings. Her gaze became a sanctuary, soft, strong, steady, a promise that he was seen, not praised, not admired, but seen. When he spoke of dreams, she listened as if each one were a star she could hold. When he spoke of burdens, she listened as if each burden were a stone she could help carry, not through power, but through presence. And it was this presence that changed him, that deepened him, that taught him what partnership truly means. He loved the way she moved through space, with elegance not crafted by youth, but honed by years. She did not rush, she did not falter. She walked with purpose, with a calm certainty that only a woman who knows herself can ever possess. And he found this more captivating than any fleeting beauty, more alluring than any shallow charm. This love, their love, is not loud, not wild, not. There are moments in Fazza's life when he feels the world shifting beneath him, moments when duties rise, like tall, unyielding towers, and expectations press heavy against the quiet of his spirit. In those moments, his thoughts drift to her, the woman whose presence has become the pulse beneath his calm, a grounding force, a truth deeper than years, a love that breathes without noise. He remembers the way she touched his hand, the first time she ever reached for him, not with urgency, not with trembling, not with hesitation. She touched him, as if she already knew the language of his soul, as if she had spoken it long before. In another lifetime, her hand was warm, steady, gentle, a touch shaped by decades, of learning how to give without taking, how to hold without caging, how to love without fear. Her presence changed him, not in sudden bursts, but in gradual unfolding, like dawn stretching over desert sands. He became softer in places he had once guarded too tightly, stronger in truths he had once buried, clearer in the paths he once doubted. She taught him, without teaching, how love could be both anchor and sky, both stillness and horizon, both shelter and storm, and in her he found all these woven seamlessly together. There were nights when she would sit beside him, her hair touched by silver, her face carved with quiet grace, and he would watch her as if studying a beautiful ancient poem, a poem written by life, not ink. And he found himself wondering how many stories her heart had carried, how many winters she had walked through, how many summers she had loved and lost and survived before fate placed his name softly into her hands. She never pretended, never hid her truth, never concealed her years. She wore them like a crown older than kingdoms, with dignity, with humility, with the kind of beauty that grows only from souls who have met both darkness and light and welcomed both. As teachers, he admired her for that, for the honesty she breathed, for the courage she carried, for the quiet strength that needed no announcement, no applause, no approval. He often wondered why the world feared age, as if time were a thief, and not a sculptor, as if years diminished beauty, instead of deepening it, as if love had expiration, instead of evolution. She taught him these truths simply by existing, and he cherished her, not in secret, but in silence, a silence made of devotion, not concealment. When she looked at him, he felt seen in ways no one else had ever managed. Not as prince, not as icon, but as man, flawed, tender, seeking, growing. She saw his fears before he named them, his dreams before he chased them, his heart before he understood it himself. And he loved her for that, quietly, endlessly, with a depth that surprised even him. There were times he imagined the future, a future where years continued their dance, where age did not separate, but stitched them closer. He pictured her sitting beside him, older still, yet as radiant as ever, her wisdom deeper, her grace unshaken, her presence a constant companion. Through every season, every